Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use React Eval, and this is the purpose of React Eval. Say you have a tool that uses AI to generate React JavaScript code. So for example, I have this tool called Gitwit, and with Gitwit, you can generate code using an LLM, and that produces working, or most of the time working, React JavaScript code. So what React Eval is it's a framework for evaluating these kind of tools. I'm going to make a few videos. In this video, I'm just showing quickly how to get React Eval set up and how to use it. So scrolling down to the Getting Started section, you need to install E2B for this to work. And E2B is a cloud sandbox where we do all the compiling and the testing of the apps. That uses Puppeteer, which is a tool for automating a web browser, and we get all the results out of that. So basically what you need to do is you need to npm install E2B. You need to go to the E2B website and create a free account. And with that free account, you will get, you'll be able to log in here from the command line using E2B login. And you can add your API key to a environment file, which you create. Then just need to run cd sandbox into the sandbox directory, which is in this repository, and then build the React sandbox. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a new sandbox in the cloud, which we're going to later on use in order to use as the testing environment for React Eval. And second thing we have to set up is the tool that you want to test React Eval with. So in this case, I'm using Gitwit, of course. So basically, I just cloned the Gitwit server repository, which is also open source. And then from there, I just run yarn link. And I've already done that, but you won't see this because you haven't done it yet. And then in the React Eval repository, I'm just going to run, well, first, once I've cloned the React Eval repository, I'm just going to run yarn, and that will install all of the packages that I need. But then I also want to install Gitwit server. Sorry, that should be yarn add Gitwit server. Right. So now I have E2B and I have Gitwit set up, and now I want to show you how we use the evaluation framework. So basically, here I am in React Eval, and I have a number of evals here in the evals directory. And each one of these is it's a simple JSON file which has a list of prompts. And those prompts will all be passed to Gitwit or whatever generation tool you're using when you run generate. So I'm just going to run yarn generate React. Oh, but before we do this, we may want to have a look at the config file. And in the config file, we see that I have n generation set to 3. So that means that when we generate, for each of those prompts, it's going to generate 3 times. So I'm going to run yarn generate React, and it's going to confirm that I want to make 24 generations. This is calling Gitwit each time, and it's doing concurrently, so we can run about 10 at a time because of the OpenAI rate limiting. Cool. So now that that's finished, if I look in my runs directory, I have a bunch of stuff in here already, but this latest one would have been added as number 2. So each new run is added as the next available number. And if I will just look inside that directory, I'll see there's one file called generations.json, and that's sort of the output of Gitwit, the code that's been generated. And now I want to evaluate that code, so I'll just run yarn evaluate 2. So now all of the code that's been generated is actually being compiled in the cloud into React applications. And those applications are being run in a browser, in a headless browser, and then being tested for errors. So if I will just make a new window, a new shell here, I can actually run yarn view2 Okay, so as soon as this evaluation starts working, as soon as the first evaluations are finished, I can run yarn view2, and then that will show me the results in a manner which is much easier than reading a text file. So we'll wait for that. And by the way, the logs of these sandboxes should all be visible. If I would go to the runs directory here, I'll see some logs. And so there I can see the logs of all the sandboxes that are running, but normally we'll need that. Okay, so here our first couple of sandboxes have finished running. You'll notice a bunch will finish at the same time since we're running about 15 at a time. And then once that's finished, I can go and I can run the view command. As long as a few evaluations have finished, this will work. And what I'm seeing here is the results of the evaluated code so far. And we can see this is still running, so we'll have to run this again later to get the updated results. But what I see now is that 93% of the tests have passed out of 15 different generations. And each generation had an average of 55 lines of code. And so for the first prompt, adding a button, I can see here each of the screenshots looks exactly as I expected, and no errors here. Same here for this one, no errors. Creating a login form, also no errors. Magic 8-ball. And here finally we have one error when I wanted to ask the LLM to create a React app that creates a map. It looks like there is a runtime error here. We can tell because the build process exited successfully, but there's still an error. And if I want to see a little bit more, I can click on this row and I can see the code that was generated. I can see the package.json for the app, and I can see the logs of the build process. So now that all of the evaluations are finished, I'll probably just run this again to get the fully updated results, and it's run 24 requests, and of those, that has been 96% successful. So scrolling down, you can see we still have this error, but the rest of the tests have passed. So that's just a little brief overview of how React Eval works. Give it a try and get in touch with me if you're having any trouble getting it to work. I hope it can be useful for your project as well. In future videos, I'm going to go a little bit more into the code in more depth in how this works.